The underground arena trembled beneath the weight of nearly 3,000 fanatics, their voices merging into a deafening roar that echoed off the ancient stone walls. The air was thick with the stench of sweat, dried blood, and burning torches, their flickering flames casting eerie shadows that danced like specters across the battlefield below. The circular Colosseum was a pit of despair and brutality, its rusted metal fences and towering walls ensuring that no one escaped the hell within. Tonight, the Sons of Arion were out in full force, loyalists, sleeper cells, and new initiates who had come to witness the rebirth of a legacy they believed had been lost. In the heart of the arena, nearly 90 contestants stood, battered, bruised, and bleeding. Some swayed on their feet, their bodies screaming for rest, while others stood rigid, eyes hardened with the defiance that had landed them here in the first place. These were the men and women who had refused to pledge allegiance to the Sons of Arion, dragged from prisons, slums, and the underground resistance to be displayed like animals for the amusement of the crowd. Among them stood Vivian, Shania, Edwin, Xavier, and Aiken. Their muscles ached, their wounds throbbed, but they remained upright, fists clenched, refusing to kneel. The ground beneath them was a battlefield of dust and dried blood, layered with the bodies of those who had fallen in previous nights. The scent of death lingered, an unshakable reminder of the fate that awaited the weak. Edwin's sharp eyes swept over the faces in the crowd, searching. Then he found him, Jason, a former leader of the Hog Hunters, a man he once fought beside. Jason's face was lined with fresh scars, his expression unreadable. He stood near the edge of the pit, arms folded, watching. Edwin stepped over the corpse of a fallen contestant, his boots grinding against bone and dried blood. He came to a halt before Jason, eyes locked. "You look like hell," Jason muttered, his voice barely audible over the chants of the crowd. "Could say the same for you," Edwin shot back, his breath ragged. "What the hell is this?" Jason exhaled, his gaze flickering upward to the elevated balcony that loomed over the arena. Two figures stood there, watching. The first was a woman, young, beautiful in a sharp, dangerous way. Her piercing eyes scanned the battlefield with an eerie sense of amusement, as if she were an empress surveying her empire. Beside her stood a man, tattooed from his neck down, his muscular frame tense as he stood like a sentry, an enforcer waiting for orders. Jason's jaw tightened. "That's Henna," he said grimly. "Daughter of Klaus, the local head of these bastards. Her old man was disgraced years ago, forced into hiding. But recently, she uncovered something big." Edwin's fists clenched. "And?" Jason's expression darkened. "A lost treasure of the Sons of Arion. A relic that gives them legitimacy again. Their power's back. And these Nazis, they aren't just some gang, Edwin. They're an organization older than Hitler, older than the Nazis themselves. They have traditions, codes, rules that they follow without question. They don't break them, ever." Before Edwin could respond, Henna took a step forward. The arena fell silent. She raised her arms. "This is not a death match," she announced, her voice smooth yet sharp as steel. "This is a death wish. A tradition that has stood for over a century. The Sons of Arion will bring forth a single warrior. Whoever kills him will earn a wish." The crowd erupted in madness. Henna let them scream before continuing, her expression cold. "No matter how outrageous that wish may be, the Sons of Arion are bound to fulfill it." A shiver ran through the contestants. They knew better than to trust the words of their captors, but the promise of a wish was intoxicating. A chance, however slim, to escape, to destroy their enemy from within. Henna's gaze flicked over them with thinly veiled contempt before a smirk curled her lips. "But before we begin, let's address the traitors among us." Murmurs rippled through the stands as Henna turned her gaze onto one of the contestants, a woman with dark hair, her face lined with exhaustion and barely healed wounds. "The whore," Henna spat. "Lara." Lara's breath hitched. "The woman who abandoned Paul to rot in filth," Henna continued, pacing along the balcony. "Paul, the once great leader of the Hog Hunters. A narc, a man who ran our meetings, anger management classes, who helped the weak. And in the end, he died for nothing." The weight of her words settled over the arena like a storm cloud. Then, Henna's smirk widened. The man who killed Paul is dead. But Lara, she still breathes. She turned to the contestants. Whoever kills her, gets a weapon. Lara paled. The men and women around her shifted, some glancing at her with newfound consideration. A weapon could mean survival. Could mean escape. Before anyone could move, the air shifted. A low, guttural growl rumbled through the steel gates of the arena. A moment later, a monstrous figure stepped into the pit. 8 feet tall. Shoulders broad enough to eclipse the torchlight. Long, matted hair framed a face as hard as a stone carving. His eyes, black as night, scanned the contestants with a predator's patience. He carried no weapons. He needed none. His hands were massive, thick with muscle, each fist the size of a man's skull. The crowd chanted as one, "Tyson! Tyson!" Akon's blood ran cold. "That's not Tyson," he whispered. "That's the Iron." Xavier turned to him sharply. "You're sure?" Akon swallowed hard. "I've heard the legends. A man who cannot be killed. A Viking of modern times. They say he's over 100 years old, but he looks no older than 30. He's been stabbed, shot, even hanged, but he never dies. And worse." Xavier hesitated. "What?" Akon's voice dropped to a near whisper. "He eats his kills." The arena fell into silence. The Iron cracked his knuckles, his gaze sweeping over the contestants like a wolf surveying a pack of wounded deer. Henna's voice cut through the quiet. "It's simple. To earn your death wish, you must kill Tyson, also known as the Iron." For the first time, a flicker of hesitation crossed her face. But her father, watching from the shadows, looked enthralled. And beside him, her brother, recently released from a mental asylum, grinned wildly, his eyes gleaming with unhinged madness. Xavier reached for Shanaya's hand, gripping it tightly. Then the horn sounded. The death wish had begun.